The bustling metropolis of New York City, often referred to as the Big Apple, is no stranger to transformation and innovation. In its rich history, the city has continuously evolved, expanding its horizons to accommodate the ever-growing population and respond to the pressing challenges of our time. A remarkable concept currently under consideration by city planners involves extending Manhattan Island with a whopping 1,360 acres of newly reclaimed land. This ambitious project not only aims to provide housing for 247,000 residents, but also to fortify the city against the looming threats of climate change. However, this idea of expanding Manhattan is far from new, and it has experienced various incarnations throughout history. The question we must ponder is, can such a colossal undertaking breathe new life into the city, or is it a monumental pipe dream? Let's dive deeper into the video. New York City is thinking about making Manhattan Island even bigger by adding 1,760 acres of new land. This massive expansion could house around 247,000 people and help protect the city from the effects of climate change. While this idea may seem groundbreaking, it's not a novel concept. In fact, the notion of extending Manhattan goes back centuries. When the Dutch originally founded New Amsterdam in 1623, the southern tip of Manhattan Island was much smaller than it is today. The shoreline extended along areas we now know as Pearl and Greenwich Streets, and the colony was bounded to the north by a 12-foot wall, corresponding to modern-day Wall Street. Over the course of 200 years, as the city grew in size and popularity, its borders expanded as well. By 1800, New York City residents had managed to create 127 new acres of land through reclamation, using waste and landfill. This significant expansion can be seen on a map of the island dating back to 1865. Though land reclamation slowed down during the following century, in the 1970s, excavations from projects like the World Trade Center and the New York City Water Tunnel were used to add another 92 acres of land, which is now home to Battery Park City. Despite these substantial transformations, the visionaries of the city have never stopped dreaming of even more remarkable changes. In 1911, a Canadian-American engineer named Kennard Thompson proposed a grander vision for New York City, which included an extension of Manhattan into the East River, the creation of new islands in Lower New York Bay, and the addition of new artificial rivers, all contributing to an additional 50 square miles of land. Regrettably, this proposal failed to gain traction and gradually faded from public attention. Fast forward to 2011, when Columbia University professor Vishaan Chakrabarty reintroduced the concept. This time, the plan aimed to connect Manhattan with Governor's Island through a new neighborhood known as Lolo. However, once again, the proposal failed to materialize. Now, in 2022, Rutgers University professor and economist Jason Haar has introduced an even grander proposal known as New Mannahatta. This ambitious project envisions a substantial expansion of Manhattan's landmass, potentially rewriting the city's geography. So, as we consider the possibility of an expanded Manhattan, the question arises, can this monumental project become a reality and breathe new life into the city, or will it remain an awe-inspiring but elusive dream? New Mannahatta is a big plan to make Manhattan Island even larger. They want to stretch it about 2.5 miles further into New York Harbor. This would mean taking over Governor's Island and adding 1,160 acres of new land. It's like giving Manhattan a bit of a growth spurt, making it 12% bigger than it is now. They'd lift up this new land about 13 to 15 feet above the ground and put wetlands and marshlands around it. These wetlands and marshlands can help when big storms happen and the sea level rises. They act like a protective shield for the city. On this new land, they want to build a new neighborhood called New Mannahatta. It's named after the indigenous Lenape people who used to live on the island. This new neighborhood would be kind of like the Upper West Side. They plan to put 178,000 new places for people to live, enough for about 247,000 folks. They're also thinking about adding parks, paths for bikes, and people walking, and making the subway system bigger so it's easier to get around. This way, the new neighborhood can be part of the rest of New York City. The whole New Mannahatta project is going to be super expensive. It could cost tens of billions of dollars, and it will take many, many years to finish. Now, why is this happening? Well, one big reason is to help with the housing problem in the city. You see, since 2010, there are more jobs in New York City, but not enough places for people to live. It's like when you have more guests at a party than chairs to sit on. This makes it really hard for people to find a good place to live at a price they can afford. For example, my brother lives in the East Village, and he paid $3,700 $700 every month to share a small 500 square foot apartment. With New Manhattan, they plan to make 178,000 more homes, which would be like getting more chairs for the party, helping to fix this problem. But that's not all. The project could also make a ton of money from real estate. They say that the land in Manhattan is worth a lot of money, like a whole lot. They think it's worth about $1.74 trillion. If you use this value for New Manhattan and add in some adjustments for price increases, the project could be worth around $270 billion just from the land value. And once everything is built, it could be even more valuable. This means it could make a lot of money and help the city's economy. Now, here's the really important part. New Manhattan would help protect the city from big storms and rising sea levels. You might remember the big storm called Superstorm Sandy in 2012. It caused a lot of damage, especially in lower Manhattan. Unfortunately, this problem is getting worse because of rising sea levels. By 2050, they think about 37% of lower Manhattan could be at risk from these big storms. But with New Manhattan, they plan to build a raised wetland barrier around lower Manhattan. This would be like a superhero shield, keeping the island safe and saving lives. Plus, it could prevent billions of dollars in damage from floods. Lastly, on a lighter note, if New Manhattan happens, you could get an amazing close-up view of the Statue of Liberty. Despite all these good things, some people don't like the project and have a lot of criticisms. So, what do you think? Is New Manhattan a great idea or not? The first big challenge with building New Manhattan is how much it will cost. Even though it could make a lot of money later, it would cost a whole lot of billions of dollars to make. If the government pays for it, that money comes from taxpayers like you and me. But if private companies pay for it, they might make fancy and expensive apartments, not the kind that help regular folks find homes. And building this whole thing would take many, many years. Another thing to think about is how it changes the shape of New York City. This new land would totally change how the city looks. Lower Manhattan, the bottom part of the island, would lose its coastline. Some people who live there might not like that at all. Also, when they make new land like this, it can harm the animals in the water around New York Harbor. They are starting to get better thanks to people helping them, but this could make things worse. And there's another problem. If they build all these new homes, they might sell them to people who don't live in New York City yet. When those people move in, it makes the traffic in the city even worse. I'm sure you've seen how busy the streets are in New York. It's often easier to walk or use a bike than drive, and the subway trains are so packed you can't even get on them. That's why a lot of New Yorkers don't like this project. They think the city should focus on fixing what we already have instead of adding more people to the mix. But even though the big New Manhattan project hasn't gone past the planning stage, the idea of making money and protecting the city from climate change is getting more popular. There's a smaller version of the plan that might happen soon. It could make a new part of the city over 15 to 20 years, and it would cost about $5 to $7 billion. So even if we don't see the giant New Manhattan right away, we might see something like it in the future. It's all about making New York City better and stronger. What do you think about all of this? Would you like to see a bigger New York City with more land and more homes? Or do you think they should focus on what they have now? Our mission is to make geography come alive, to inspire curiosity about the world around us, and to foster a deeper understanding of our planet's incredible diversity. Thank you for joining us on another journey through the fascinating world of modern geography. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep exploring with us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update.